Good evening, everyone. So, Terrance, I want to do the introduction tonight, but when I officially retire, I want you to do my retirement speech and introduction. Well, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I'm Judge Terry Wiley from Alameda County, and it is an honor for me to be here tonight, to have the privilege of introducing a man who embodies the very qualities we admire most in leaders, colleagues, and friends. And it's Mr. Terrance Evans. You know, when we speak of integrity, we often think of someone who does what is right when no one is watching. Terrance lives that principle every day. His decisions are guided not by convenience, but by conviction. He stands as a reminder that integrity isn't just a word, it's a way of his life. But what truly sets Terrance apart is his selflessness. In every role that he has taken on, whether it be professional, community, or personal, he has consistently placed the needs of others before his own. He is the type of man who will give without keeping score. He leads by lifting others up, and who finds his greatest reward in recognition, and not in recognition, but in service. Honor and thoughtfulness also define him. You know, those who know Terrance will tell you that when you speak to him, he listens deeply. He treats everyone with respect. And he never forgets that behind every title and every role is a human being, deserving of dignity. His thoughtfulness is not only in his words, but in his actions, large and small, that leave lasting impacts on people's lives. And above all, Terrance is a kind person. His kindness is not simply politeness, it is genuine, heartfelt, and unwavering. It's the kind of kindness that inspires trust, creates community, and reminds us that compassion is a strength and not a weakness. So, this is a very historical evening in that Terrance is going to be sworn in as the first African-American president of the California Lawyers Association. And many of the qualities that I've mentioned here, we've already seen it play out here this evening. Terrance, I want you to know how proud many of us who have worked with you over the years, and I personally have worked with Terrance when he was president of the Charles Houston Bar Association. Me, Terrance, and Yuri Walker currently lead Region 9 of the National Bar Association, and I can tell you that nationally, and I'll just take one moment. In the National Bar Association, there's this huge nationwide board. And, you know, when you're involved in the board of the National Bar Association, when you have people coming from all over the country, you know, things can get kind of crazy. But when it comes to Terrance, everybody knows, don't bring any foolishness to Terrance Evans. Because he is an extraordinary human being. And Terrance, we're proud of you. I give you Terrance Evans, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Judge Wiley, and thank you so much, everyone who is here this evening. Before I begin my remarks, I want to make a few acknowledgments. So my beautiful mother is unable to be with us because of health reasons. But she's on the phone. And I just want my mother to know that I love you very much. I'm also grateful that my family is here with us today. I'm going to call some family members out by name and then ask the family to stand. I want to acknowledge my father, the great Terrance J Evans. Daddy, if you could please stand up. Thank you so much, Daddy. I want to acknowledge my uncle, Vincent Joe Evans. I'm so grateful, Uncle Joe, for you being here. I want to acknowledge my aunt Madeline Evans. Can you please stand? I'm so grateful for you being here. I want to acknowledge my cousin, Kathy Evans, who is the widow of the great Wiley Evans. So grateful for you. And all of the folks there at that table, if you can stand, who are there at our family table, both at the tables, if you can stand, we just want to appreciate you. Thank you very much for your support. I want to thank all of the bar associations who were here over the course of my career. I've had the opportunity to speak at hundreds of programs in partnership with well over 70 bar associations all across the United States. I'm on track this year to having spoken at more than 70 different events in the fight for justice, in the fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it is only because of the support of all of the different organizations I've had a chance to partnership with that I've been able to do this work. I want to give another shout out to all of my brothers and sisters from the various African American bar associations, because it was your investment in me that made it possible for me to be here. I want to thank the board of the California Lawyers Association for having enough trust in me to give me this opportunity. Our board this year was absolutely incredible. There were times when I wasn't sure of the correct direction or where to go. I was able to turn to our board members, and you were able to help me make the right decisions. I want to give a special shout out to the litigation section of the California Lawyers Association. We have litigation section folks here. My journey in this organization started with the litigation section, and I want to thank you for taking an opportunity to help me develop those leadership skills that would be so important in my journey. I'm just going to share a few words. I know we've been here a while, and then I'm going to give out an award that I overlooked. I'm sorry, I got a little bit excited and we missed an award, and then we're going to give out another award and bring up our outgoing president. But my journey has not been the easiest journey. I did not grow up in a wealthy family. I grew up in a working class family. My dad fought so hard to put food on the table. There were times when my dad worked 2 jobs. There were times when my mother worked 2 jobs. There were times when my mother had to clean houses just to make ends meet. There were times when we didn't know how we were going to pay our bills. I would remember hearing my mother on the telephone trying to make arrangements because there wasn't enough money to pay the electric bill. There wasn't enough money to pay the telephone bill. And I knew that my mother really didn't want the phone bill to cut off because then everybody would know that we were struggling financially. I remember there was a day where the only food in the house was 1 can of clam chowder. It was 1 can. And my parents gave me that can of clam chowder. There was no other food in the house. But God had around in the bush. Hey! You gonna get me to start preaching? You got a black president now, baby. God had around in the bush. The heart of my grandmother. He didn't reach out to her, but she came over with a box of food. There were times we didn't know where our next meal was coming from, and God touched my auntie. And she came over, and she brought some food to help us get going. There were times when I didn't know where the next opportunity was coming from, and he sent somebody to make it possible. I'm going to tell you a story from my law school experience. I remember during my last year at Loyola Law School, Do we have any Loyola Law School folks in the house? And I had just come in third place at the Frederick Douglass Newport competition. There was this huge banner on the screen that I was the third best oral advocate in the United States of America. And shortly after I got back from that trip, I got a letter telling me that Loyola was going to kick me out. Even though I was on the dean's list, they were going to kick me out shortly before I was going to graduate, because I couldn't come up with the last $7,000 I needed for my tuition. And I remember I walked into the registrar's office, and I said, there's no way you're going to kick me out. You're going to take my name and put it up on a banner. You're going to try to attract other people of color to this school, and after you are done with me, you're going to throw me aside. I said, that will not be happening. I said, I'll go to every news organization in Los Angeles, and I'm going to tell them, this is the way you treat black people. You use us, and then you toss us aside. And the registrar said, just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. You don't have to go to the news just yet. He said, give me a little bit of time. I don't know where the money came to pay that tuition. I never paid it. But let me tell you, I graduated. I passed the bar exam. If you're a young person today and you're not sure if you have what it takes to make it, you can be born a poor working class black child growing up in Inglewood. And you can go on and become a partner at an international law firm. You can go on and become a head of a practice group. You can go on and have cases before the United States Supreme Court. You can go on and win multi-million-dollar cases in Superior Court and in the District Court. You can go on and become the president of the California Association. I have certainly had a difficult journey. I remember when I was graduating from law school, I didn't have a big firm job lined up. I didn't know where the resources were going to come from so that I could be prepared for the bar. And that's why these African American bar associations have such a place in my heart. That's why the scholarship program that litigation section has and all the other sections have a special place in my heart. Because it was a scholarship that I got through Black Women Warriors of Los Angeles that changed my life. I remember I saw a flyer at Loyola Law School, Black Women Warriors Bar Scholarship. And I said, well, I'm not a black woman. I said, but I really need the money. So I went ahead and I applied, and thank God they gave it to me. And that investment in me changed my life. The investment that all of us make in the foundation, we are changing lives. We heard from those law students. We are building our future, and we have to continue to make those investments. One other point I want to make before I wrap up here is that we have an urgent call to action. We're living in a critical moment in American history. The rule of law is under attack. Law firms are under attack. Lawyers are under attack. Judges are under attack. And we have to be willing to use our voice to save our democracy. If we are not willing to stand for justice, who is going to stand for justice? Nobody else is going to come to save us. We have to save ourselves. It's time for us to stand up. It's time for us to do the work. It's time for us to fight. That is what we must do. That is what we must do. That is what lawyers must do. There's no other profession that is designed to save our democracy but the legal profession. And I need you to do it for me in this fight. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be intimidated. Together we have that ability. We have the ability, and I'm just asking that you join me in this fight. I'm looking forward to great things. I know I have big shoes to fill, but I am motivated to fight for justice, and nobody is going to make me back down. I want to thank you all again for this amazing opportunity to serve and lead, and I'm going to bring this fire and this energy to everything I do. Even though it's been so, as I mentioned when I got up here, I unfortunately missed one of the awards that we were supposed to give out. I got so excited that I missed giving out one of the awards. And I want to bring up a good friend who is a past president of the Richard T. Fields Bar Association, who is the President South from the California Association of Black Lawyers, who this year helped to develop numerous programs to help the victims of the Los Angeles County wildfires, who has been tireless in organizing efforts so that people can rebuild their lives. He has been a voice crying in the wilderness, fighting with the legislator, fighting with people to make sure that we don't forget those people who lost everything and that we help bring them together and build them back up. This is none other than my good friend, the amazing, the incredible, the incomparable Willie Williams. My brother was telling me I need to get my towel. You know, when I preach in the church, they usually have a cold towel for me, so I can kind of deal with the sweat. It's all good. We're going to power through. We have one more award to give out tonight, and I'm really excited about this one last award. This is for a woman who has done so much for this legal community. Our outgoing president, the amazing Betty Williams. Betty has done so much hard work. Over the course of her presidency, Betty Williams has built bridges between affinity bar associations all across the state. Under her presidency, she made sure that we continue to fight for the rule of law. It was under her presidency that we created numerous scholarship programs to help the next generation of legal talent. It was under her presidency that we made sure that we had a presence at law schools throughout the state. It was under her presidency that she made sure that women had a voice in this fight, that women had a voice in being represented. And I think it's especially fitting if we understand the history of California. There used to be a time in California when if you were a person of color, you couldn't speak. You couldn't be a lawyer, you couldn't be anything. But there was Clara Shortridge Foltz, a white woman who opened the door for all minorities to practice law. And today we have Betty Williams opening the door for me to have the opportunity to be a leader in this organization. My friend, my mentor, the incredible, the amazing, the incomparable Betty Williams. Let's give her a hand.
Never again. Say no, that's okay, you go first. To Terrance Evans. It was hard to follow. I will say too that when he told me I was receiving an award tonight, he achieved something else that was difficult in that I found myself speechless for a moment. I have not received